Since 1981, the White House Historical Association, which is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization created by First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy to be the private partner of the White House, we have been creating these annual White House Christmas ornaments, and they're made by a veteran-founded small business in Lincoln, Rhode Island. They're made in America and have been from the very beginning. And each year we feature a different presidency, starting with George Washington and rolling up now this year to Jimmy Carter and the Carter presidency. And so this is the beautiful box that the ornament is contained in. You'll see the White House there. When you open the box, the first thing that you'll see is a historic booklet that is created by our historians here at the association. And it has photographs and images and stories about the Carters and their presidency and how they spent Christmas as a family. And then you'll see the beautiful ornament. And this year, the design is based on an anchor theme, which, as you mentioned, President Carter was in the Navy and the first president of the United States, in fact, the only president of the United States to graduate from the U.S. Naval Academy. So there's the anchor theme. There is the White House in the middle. There are a couple of doves representing peace. One of his significant achievements was the peace accords at Camp David that was negotiated between Anwar Sadat and Menachem Begin, signed then at the White House. And then on the reverse side of the ornament, you can see a beautiful a small submarine at the top. He was in our nuclear navy and is the only living president to have a American nuclear submarine named after him. So that emblem is at the top. A beautiful little garland at the bottom of peanuts and peanut flowers, reminding us of his time as a farmer and livelihood as a farmer in Georgia. And then we have the little globe, which is symbolic of his lifelong commitment to the environment and also another nod to his interest and passion for peace. So it's a very symbolic ornament. It's quite different than any that we've done before. Many of them have been trees or wreaths or something that was very Christmas-like, but we thought this was different. It's unique, it's special, and we think that, as with all our ornaments, a family buying this, putting it on our tree, having the opportunity to talk and share about Christmas and a specific presidency. Now, we stay away from politics and policy, and we focus really on the people who live in the White House as a family, who work in the White House as the president and his staff, and the things that take place during that presidency in the White House at Christmas and at other times. Well, we traditionally announce or reveal the design of each year's ornament around President's Day, the week of President's Day. And this is the first living president that we've had the privilege of revealing an ornament during their lifetime. And I took one of the very first ones that came off of the assembly line, sent it down to the family so that they could share it with President Carter. And it's just really enriching to us, a real blessing to us, to know that the family and President Carter were able to see this and share that together. And it is unique and special because the first time in the 43 years we've been doing this that we've had a living president at the time that their ornament has been released. Well, we were founded to be a private partner to the White House. The interiors of the White House are maintained at a museum standard representing the very best of American craftsmanship, artisanship, furnishings, fine arts, decorative arts. And that is all acquired by the association, maintained by the association with private funding. The government takes care of the building itself, the infrastructure, but all the beautiful interiors that you see there, all of the White House collection is maintained by private funding through the White House Historical Association. So we don't have to depend on government funding at any given time to take care of the White House. So unlike any other home of head of state in the world, we can maintain ours at the very best standard at all times. That was Mrs. Kennedy's idea and vision. And our role is exactly the same with every president and first lady. We work with 12 in the history of the organization. And I personally have had the privilege of working with the Obamas, the Trumps, and now the Bidens, all successfully. And we don't get involved in politics or conversations about anything political, but we're there to make the House the very best it can be. Mrs. Kennedy famously said, "The White House belongs to the American people. It doesn't belong to the Bidens or the Trumps or the Obamas or the Polks or the Roosevelts or the Lincolns. It belongs to you. It belongs to everyone in our country. And we believe it is the symbol of American freedom and democracy to the world. And our role is to be there to preserve it, protect it, and to make it better from each presidency to the next." And Mrs. Kennedy also charged us with an education mission to teach and to tell the stories of the White House and its history, really American history that's taken place with the people who've lived and worked there. And we do that through our public programming, through our publications, our online and digital resources, and through this wonderful annual ornament, which itself is an education and teaching tool. Well, I often joke if I had been in the room with Mrs. Reagan when staff came in with the idea to let's create an annual Christmas ornament, I probably would have taken it very lightly. But I'm so grateful that was done because it's been the proceeds of that. And it ramped up very quickly. A few thousand were sold the first year, then it was tens of thousands, and now it's into hundreds of thousands every year that are sold. And it's become quite a collector's item for families, and when we continue to make them back to the very first one. So if a family has collected them over time, they can give a set to their one child and they can buy a complete other set to give to another child. But the idea stuck when it was created in 1981, and I'm so glad it did because over the years it's been the funding of the proceeds from this ornament and its sales that has largely put the wind in the sails of our mission and allowed us to do what we do every year for the American people at the White House. Well, I think it's at times like this when our presidents pass or the First Lady has recently passed, or that they're in the late stages of their life, that we really reflect on them and we say things about their lives, their presidencies, and the contributions they made, even the Carters, perhaps more post presidency than during the presidency. And I think that it's sad in a way that we wait until that very last moments of life to reflect in that way. But I'm so proud that an ornament like this can look at the whole of a presidency, the whole of a life, and reflect with them and have them share the joy of the ornament while President Carter is still living, and they as a family can reflect with him on those very special days. In our little launch video that we released today that's available on our website, President Carter's grandson, Jason Carter, reflects on Christmas at the White House as a family was his most special memory of the Carter time in the White House. And if we could create something that brings that spark of joy and memory and reflection to the Carter family at this special time, we think that can also be for the American people during this time. And we're pleased and proud and honored to be able to share this in that way.